Estonia was the last country to join the euro, and Latvia is due to be the next one. Joining me to discuss this is the President of Estonia. Mr. President, when you joined the euro, there were eyebrows raised about the timing, given it was in the middle of the euro crisis. Do you now feel vindicated?
Well, I mean, I never really felt the need to answer those people. Well, it was not the act of joining, it was the process that led up to it. I mean, there are many factors that really spoke in favor of the euro. The first thing was that being outside of the euro, we were much more vulnerable. We're a small country, a small currency, lots of arguments saying, oh, this country should devalue its currency, which would have wiped out the middle class here, all of whom had loans in euros. And home loans in euros. I mean, so the result of a devaluation would have been far worse than anything else. So austerity was was the only option, especially since we could only borrow at sort of usurial rates. So we had to follow austerity. The best straitjacket for that was actually to have this. I mean, they're the criteria, the Maastricht criteria. And so, in fact, we try to stick to those, and the natural result of that was ultimately getting into the Eurozone.
How important, though, was it, I mean, given the history of the country, the collapse of the Soviet Union, how important was it to find your place in Europe?
Well, I mean, it was kind of like the last step in many ways. I mean, you're in NATO, you're in the European Union, Schengen. I mean, the only thing that's really pan-European that we weren't in was the euro. But I don't think that was that important. It was really, that it was a hedge against the evaluation, and also because during the crisis we had lost so much investment had pulled out. It had pulled out precisely because the investors were afraid of a devaluation. Banks were not lending money because they were afraid of a devaluation. So the way to get out of that trap was to do everything possible to join the euro. And unfortunately, the population came along with it. And even today, 2 years after joining the euro, we have one of the highest positive views of the euro. 73% of the populace says the euro is a good thing, which they experience on their own with sort of lower transaction costs, lower interest rates. You go abroad, you always have your euro.
So we're now seeing, though, your neighbour Latvia is thinking of joining. What lessons do you think the Estonian experience holds for Latvia?
Things get better. Things get better. Interest rates go down. Pressures that really would be fairly minor within the Eurozone are very huge, very large. If you're outside the Eurozone and you're a small country, I mean, you're buffeted constantly by all these. In a small country, you have a major bankruptcy, a plant failure, all of that immediately sort of affects investor confidence in you. I mean, okay, a large country is not that bad. It requires constant vigilance also to be in the Eurozone. I mean, you need that. It's not a one-off, cross the borderline, now I can go and break all the rules. I mean, that's one clear lesson from this is that, I mean, the second lesson. The first lesson is that the rules are fairly intelligent. The second lesson is that you have to follow them all the time. It's not like you sort of cook the books, get in, and then you just don't do anything and then cause problems. And clearly, I would say that being in the Eurozone for a country like Latvia is a major security guarantee, in that you can be assured that if worse comes to worst, you have the Eurozone there. And as I tell them when they ask me, I say, well, look, I know the euro is in trouble. or the Eurozone is in trouble. The Euro is not in trouble. It's been 10 years of very good, stable position. But I say that if you're worried about the Eurozone, as we all are, when the Estonian finance minister goes to the meeting of the Eurozone finance ministers, he has a worry. What's going to happen with the euro? When the Latvian finance minister does not go to the Eurozone ministers, he has two worries. What's going to happen with the euro? And B, what is going to happen to the Lat? So, I mean, you're part of the process then, and it's for small countries to be part of the process is vital. I mean, if you're from the UK, you can sort of stand aloof and say, well, I mean, you know, we have this 1,000-year pound, why bother? But from our point of view, being small and vulnerable, it's rather better to be in.